Hi friends, I am Kori. I am a photographer and I am the creator of Stories with Kori. And whether you have been hanging out with us for a long time or today is your first story ever, we are so grateful that you are here. We have a heart to share the stories of people finding grit and strength, working hard to take those next steps forward. We know that life can be hard sometimes, but we believe that it is always better when we take those next steps forward together. And so we invite you to hang out with us today, hear today's story, and we hope that you find encouragement to keep moving forward. Yay! Hi guys, I am Kori with Kori and Jared Photography, also the creator of Stories with Kori, and I am super excited because today we have a very fun story to share with you. And so I am hanging out with Casey and Meygan, and we have actually been hanging out all weekend long at their very first ever marriage retreat. And so they are the creators of Marriage 365, and I just wanted to, kind of have them share with you a little bit about what they do and how they got started. But maybe Meygan, you want to tell us how we're friends? How do we know each other?
So Kori and I were roommates in college our freshman year. So think about it. Here we are, 17, 18 years old, right out of your dad's house, my mom's house, and we meet. And she was actually sitting next to me when I met him that same day. So we actually all met on the same day.
That's true.
Yes.
Back in 2000, and what's going to date us?
I was saying, don't say that. Casey introduced me and said how long we were roommates ago, and I'm like,
no. I'm going to say it, back in 2001.
2001.
Yeah. So now you know how old we are. But yeah, that's how we know each other. And we've stayed in contact, thankfully, through Facebook and Instagram and social media.
Yes.
And so, we're excited to be here.
Yes. I feel like that first year was kind of a wild ride. Like, it was a lot of fun, a lot of like dorm room dance parties, a lot of beach visits, a lot of fun stuff. So
good memories in college, right?
Absolutely. Yes. So now you guys met that night, you guys got married, you guys have a heart for marriages. Especially in today's culture. Tell me a little bit about your heart for marriage and what that looks like for you guys.
Yeah, well, when you see the way people approach relationships, you can tell something's broken because it's not working out. We've got an increased divorce rate. People are even having doubts about even getting married. And so for Meygan and I, we wanted to bring hope really to a brokenhearted world. I think our story is a very common story, maybe even a more extreme story with the things that have gone on between us. We've come from broken homes and debt and infertility, struggled with, parenting a child with special needs, poor communication skills. So
we're both really stubborn.
So we have a lot of stories that are relatable, and I think for us, we overcame so much, and now we're inviting people into, hey, here's how we failed.
Right.
So it's okay.
Right.
But now here's what we did to actually succeed in our relationship.
Yeah. So we started Marriage 365 several years ago. We wanted to create resources for couples all the way from when they started dating, getting them ready for marriage and healthy.
Because I feel like so much of that conversation really happens then. Like you need to be able to have those tools that start and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have Marriage 365 and we've authored books. We do webcasts, but most of our resources are all online because the reality is we're all busy. We all have stuff going on. Everyone's on social media.
Right.
And so I understand for to work on a marriage, not everyone has this amazing schedule that it can work. And so people can just go online and check out our stuff and find something that will meet their need and their marriage, because every marriage is so unique and has different dynamics.
There's a lot of shame around relationships. Like if your relationships is not working out well, you have to be very selective on who you're going to actually share and open that up with. So one of the things that's really nice, I know, for a lot of couples is the anonymity of being able to jump online, have like an online marriage mentor to kind of walk you through how to talk through communication. We've got toxic in-law issues, or we just want to improve our sex life.
Right.
But I don't want to share that with anybody else.
No. Yeah.
So we've just been brave enough to stick a camera in front of our face and go, let's talk about toxic in-laws.
Because we've got them, and I know we're not the only ones, right?
Yeah.
I tell you what, I have pretty incredible in-laws, and so
Well, you're fortunate.
I'm very, very fortunate, and I have an incredible dad, but we all have our challenges.
We do.
Sure.
And I would hate for someone to feel like there's no hope, there's no resources, because there are.
Yeah.
And we have so many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love it that you guys are bringing just a message of hope.
Yes.
A message of we have done it, and a message of it is worth the work. It is
Yeah.
a whole lot of work. And so this weekend, you kind of challenged us. I feel like we were taking pictures and hanging out, but really we kind of got to do the work that everyone at the retreat did. And so I feel like maybe you guys can speak to, I feel like one tangible tool that I know that we will walk away with is this idea of a 60-second blessing.
Yeah.
So tell me quickly what that is and how it works. And I feel like that is just something even somebody listening today could just walk away with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think people feel like relationships are complicated.
Yeah.
And I think issues of the heart can feel complicated. But what you need to do to maintain a relationship and to actually heal a relationship is very basic.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we try to complicate the simple truths, but just being able to speak words of love over someone, to affirm them and say, hey, I see how beautiful you are. I see how hard you work. I see that you're a great friend. You listen well. I loved how you got me that cup of coffee. I love how you just keep us organized. When you speak those words over someone, it changes the dynamic. And what's amazing is it's 60 seconds.
Right.
60 seconds
Yeah.
to affirm and share how much I appreciate. And I think for a lot of couples, we see a lot of tears when we lead people in this.
Yeah.
Because
I
they're
think
like,
I had tears. Like
yeah, well,
It's
because
emotional.
people have been together for 5, 10, 15 years. Well, I said that at one point.
Or they know that I love them.
Right.
But I don't remember the last time I heard it. And so
or you can't hear it over the kids yelling and screaming.
I love them. Yeah. But I think what's really neat. So one spouse goes at 60 seconds of expressing love, affirmation, things you love about them, characteristics, and then the other spouse says their 60 seconds. And I always say when you start doing something like this, write it down.
Right.
Because we've been doing it for 7 years now, so we can just like on the cuff be like, hey, this is what we love about you. People get really nervous with words.
Yeah.
And so if you're not a words person, it's okay. You can write it down and read your list to each other. I love that you can do it via text, via email, if you travel, because many of us travel for work.
Right.
You don't ideally done in person, yes. Eye contact, no distractions, but don't let that stop you if you're traveling or have kids. And then to also, we talked about it during the retreat, is to do it with your children as well.
Absolutely.
And to speak life into them.
And can I speak up just for the husbands? I mean,
always?
Okay, listen. Like, I hear the ladies talk, and the ladies are always like, oh, your dress looks so cute, or, you look so good. How'd you do your hair? And in a guy's world, nobody does that.
Right.
Nobody says, like, wow, that's a great looking beard,
We were just talking about beer. That's funny. Okay.
But I think for guys, that when we hear the women that we love and make sacrifices for, and we want to hear those words.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a world where there's intentionality behind, I want to communicate to you how much I appreciate, see how hard you work, I see what you're doing for the kids, you're a fun dad. Like, that that'll change a man's world.
Yeah, I feel like it's life-giving. And I also feel like we are in a world where you are beat up often, right? Like, we're in a very critical world.
Very
and so
critical.
I think being able to create that safe place in your home with your words is a good thing. And it doesn't solve everything, but I do feel like it kind of gives you a little bit of a grace zone, right? You build in a little bit of extra grace.
And let me just tell you this too. So a lot of people would probably say, well, he doesn't deserve those words, or she doesn't deserve those words. But that's not true love. True love's unconditional. And I think it's one of those things that you can proactively do no matter what state of your relationship is, and say, you know what, I'm going to courageously step in. I'm going to show love to someone. Maybe that I don't even feel like it, but I promised on a wedding day that no matter what comes our way, I'm going to love you.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a very tangible way to say, I'm going to communicate how much you mean to me.
Yeah.
Even though I have to write this down and think deep.
Totally. I mean, we have just kind of gone through some parenting, especially parenting kids who come from hard places, and that same thing of like when you have to look sometimes for those things, and then it's okay to look harder.
Yeah.
And maybe today it's thank you for getting out of bed, right? Thank you for, or
Thank
whatever.
Thank you for showing up for work, okay?
Right. We can start small, but I think we have grown as parents, right? Like as we start looking for those things. And I think that those same principles apply in a marriage. When you start looking and catching people doing something good, you can be more thankful.
Well, it's natural and more easy to point out the bad and the flaws.
Yes.
It does always take more work and more intentionality to point out the positive.
Yeah. Well, you guys offer kind of daily encouragement a couple of times a day, giving us things to think about. We love that you use some of our couples too, like all of our cute couples. So I'll like tag them in it. Like, oh, you guys are cute now.
Her photography is amazing, as you know.
It's a lot of fun. But maybe just take a few seconds and say something to the couple who is struggling. What is their next step? If they are having a hard time in their marriage, maybe they weren't able to make it to this marriage retreat, but they need something today. To what would you encourage them with?
You want me to say it?
You go.
Okay.
I'll back you up.
The first thing I would say is don't lose hope.
Yes.
Because if we can have a good marriage and turn our marriage around and we hated each other, truly, anyone can have a good marriage. So I know that if someone's watching, they're going, no, Meygan, you don't know. No, we do know because we've been there. And we've walked through so many couples where it looked like it was going to fail, but to turn it around. So first you have to have hope. If you don't have hope, I can teach you practices and communication tools, and we can teach you conflict resolution, but if you don't have the hope and the desire to make it better, you have nothing. The second thing I would say is, this is like our tagline, but if you want to make a better marriage,
make a better you.
Make a better you. Make a better you. And we can sit around and we can wait for our spouse to change. Good luck with that. You will become frustrated, resentful, and more angry. Or you can say, you know what? I know I have things that I need to work on, and so start working on you. That's where you start. So remind yourself there is hope. We can turn this around, and turning it around starts with you. And I think that that's the myth that's out there with couples is that, oh, we both have to be working on it. I mean, ideally,
right? That's the goal.
Of course, that's the goal. But you can positively impact your spouse by having a good attitude, by using kind words, by having healthy habits, by living in forgiveness, apologizing, owning your mistakes, all of those healthy habits, your spouse will go, wow, they're like really healthy and changing, and maybe I should do that too. So
I think my sub point would be apologizing. Like, we all make mistakes. We're imperfect. And I think one of the things that I've been working with relationships is this concept of adaptability. I think we celebrate independence. We celebrate like, hey, this is me. I'm just being me. But relationships require being adaptable to each other. And so for me, owning your stuff is so vitally important. It's like the magic sauce for relationships, because if you're in this like kind of one-sided relationship, when one person apologizes, all the defenses drop. And it's amazing. I've walked couples that have gone through a fair recovery through some of the worst stuff, and once they've apologized the proper way, it's like magic wand. It's like I've just watched all the hurt just walk right out the door.
Yeah, because a proper apology, which we say proper apology, it's too complicated now, but there's 4 steps. It's not just, I'm sorry for hurting you, right? And we talked about this during the retreat, but really acknowledging the hurt that you caused in your spouse and taking responsibility for it, and then working on changing that behavior so it's not repeated again. Right. And it's not to say that it will never be repeated, but that you would move into that then process of forgiveness. It tears
you have
down.
To find out more about the proper.
I know. At Marriage 365, we have a whole webcast about it and several blogs. But it's interesting because we kind of all have our guard up when we get hurt, right? Like, oh, you hurt me. I didn't like that. So I'm going to protect myself so I don't experience that again. The problem is we can't have a healthy, thriving marriage if we both have our walls up, or one person has their wall up, one person has their wall down. And so, when you apologize and just own it, all the walls come down, the defenses go down, the pride is kind of swallowed and ego's gone.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you kind of giving us some tangible, like what we can do in 60 seconds to make today better. I appreciate you give us a little bit more about like what's next. And then maybe outside of that, right? Like if you are listening, you say, I need some more help, I need some more resources, they can find a lot more information on your website and on your Instagram.
So Marriage 365 is our Instagram handle and Facebook as well. And then our site is marriage365.org.
And if there's anyone that's dating, engaged, or newlywed, we have an online premarital course as well. It's kind of the marriage 101. And that's at happilyeverafter.org. So super easy to remember.
Yeah, awesome. And then you guys kind of just made a really big announcement today. Like you guys made an announcement about Kahlo.
Yes.
You're like, what announcement?
Is there a baby in the oven?
No, but you guys are taking what you guys did here this weekend and taking it
to Kahlo.
clarify, we've done retreats before, but not on our own,
Right.
right? So we've been invited as speakers and things like that.
Yeah.
And we're like, we need to do this on our own. And so
Yes.
this was our first weekend we did it. So we're going to Cabo in 2020. We don't have the specific dates. It's most likely going to be in October.
Okay.
Possibly November.
So basically, to get all of the details, we just need to follow
But
along.
Absolutely.
this is more couples getaway, hang out at the pool.
Yeah.
have-
Yeah, this would be, I would say
This
this
soak up the
upcoming
sun.
retreat would be more for like, if we're in an overall good spot,
Yeah.
and we just want more connection,
Like a
more
tune-up.
love.
Yeah.
More like a tune-up.
I like
Not like if you're really, really hurting and need therapy.
Mhm.
That's not what this couple's
But you
retreat
guys do
is for.
offer marriage intensives,
Mhm.
which I feel
We
like
do.
there's so much that we could go on. But you
I know,
guys
we
do-
have so many resources. I think we have like 16 different resources. I mean, we really do. And the other thing that we have, and it's not us, but we have a life and marriage coach on staff, and she does online sessions.
Okay.
Which I know for a lot of people in different areas, they don't have a marriage and family therapist nearby,
Mm-hmm.
or they've had a bad experience with
Mhm.
therapy because they're not all great.
Mhm.
We're very pro therapy, but we have that as well. Again, another
Yeah.
resource. So
Perfect. And they can catch all of that on.
yes, you're not alone. And can I just say one last thing?
Of course, always.
Okay. Don't wait too long to get help for your marriage.
Mhm.
I think that's the one thing that I would like beg people who are dating, engaged, newlywed, like if I could give you any advice,
Mhm.
please make sure you don't wait too long because we all get stuck
Yes.
and there's no shame in needing help.
Mhm.
And most of our resources are self-therapy. You actually have the skill sets to do it on your own.
Yeah.
You just need a little guidance
Mhm.
and we give you that guidance.
Yep, absolutely, guys. Well, I really appreciate you guys taking a few moments to
I love
to
it.
talk with me. I
Great.
am so proud of you guys and all the work that you are doing. I think it is good work. It's incredible, and so I'm thankful to share with you this weekend, and then also to share your story with our little community. So, yes.
Thanks, Kori.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Have a good day, guys. Bye. We were so pumped to share today's story with you. We hope that some small part of their story resonated with you. We hope that you were encouraged to keep moving forward. And today's story was made possible by our incredible supporters, and you can find their information as well as the information of our storytellers on our blog as well as on this story's post. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we cannot wait to share our next story with you.